Welcome everybody to the Wonk Podcast. This week's guest is Zach Stoyer. He's worked on Keeping Up With The Kardashians, Hell's Kitchen, and is even shot with Dog the Bounty Hunter. He also was the director of photography for every episode of Studio City Kings. This week we have a special guest host, Kyle Newacheck, so enjoy.
I've been on the East Coast for 2 weeks, so I wake up at I was like a 5 a.m. call time for 2 weeks straight, so.
Doing what?
Travel Channel.
That's dope.
Food Paradise.
Food Paradise.
It is pretty cool. It's fun sometimes because you get to eat some weird stuff.
What was the weirdest thing you ate?
I wouldn't say weird. It's not like bizarre foods, but we did a place, I don't remember what city we're in. Maybe Miami. And we got to eat truffle mac and cheese with real like layers of truffles in there, and then they put caviar on top, and it was truffle infused, and it was just like out of control.
Did you like it?
It was good. Yeah.
You liked it?
It was very expensive.
How expensive was it?
I think it was like a $40 little pot pie. It was like a tiny pot pie, and I ate like probably 4 of them.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's
Well, they just
bucks.
give them to us because we're there shooting, and
they already made them. They're already like.
Yeah, we're using them to
camera.
shoot and stuff. So.
Oh wow.
And just get to mow it down.
Perfect.
That's awesome. That's a Gordon Ramsay
tight.
joint, right?
Yeah, it's awesome sometimes.
When did cameras start becoming your life?
Oh, I was always doing that, and then I graduated I was doing it all in high school. I was like one of the dorks, like doing the AV stuff and photography.
Wait,
stuff.
what year are you in high school?
I graduated in 2006.
2006.
Yeah.
You're 4 years younger than I.
Yeah.
5 years younger than I.
Yeah.
Gross.
So were you doing like photography, working with celluloid? Or?
Yeah, I was working with celluloid. I was doing digital celluloid.
Oh, no, seriously, I do want to know if you were like working with film.
I was. My high school had the biggest darkroom in the state, so I
Really?
was very spoiled. Yeah, so we got.
Where are you from?
Arizona, Phoenix area-ish, desert white trash.
So does that mean that you could make like giant pictures, or what is having
you like
the biggest...
you can enlarge. Basically, you can enlarge photos, so you can like make prints. Is what it is. Like that's what the function of the darkroom would be. And
Did you make big prints in high school? How big?
I think the largest I did was like 20 by 24 or something like that. Like pretty big ones. Like you would.
Wow. Can we talk about how good it feels to just enlarge one of your photographs?
It's unbelievable when you like nail one, because it's like enlarging is 10 times harder than shooting on film, you know? So it's like when you can nail enlarging like off of a machine and like do all the chemicals correctly, you're right. It's a real triumph.
Yeah, totally. When it like works. I took photo in high school, and it was like I was always too scared to load.
Oh yeah,
I never loaded.
I do that all the time in my kitchen.
Like
I have like
I
have a changing bag that like first ACs use to load like magazines for movies, and I just put my arms in there and I load it into the tank. And
yeah, I was always so afraid I would flash the film or something.
Oh,
I always had a buddy do it.
One time I had an Apple Watch on and I had my hands in the bag and the fucker lit up and I
shit!
I forgot about it and I
wow.
flashed all my film because I develop all my own film at home, like color and black and white and stuff, and I had a watch on and I.
Dang.
So you have your own darkroom at the house?
It's not a dark room necessarily. Like you can develop film anywhere. You can just do it in your kitchen or whatever.
You just need that bag.
You just need the bag. Once it's in the tank, it's
Right.
light tight. And I don't enlarge very much. I just scan and.
That's when you need all the baths and stuff like that, like the chem
It's the
baths.
same chemicals as developing, but it's just you're developing paper instead of celluloid.
And you're doing color too, right?
Yeah, I do color. Yeah, I do color. I do slide. I do all that shit.
Oh, see, I never developed color. I only
yeah.
developed black and white.
I do all 3. I do slide film too, which is like it looks like little stained glass. It's not like a negative. It's like you're looking at the picture on the film.
That's tight.
So I do all 3. I've been doing it forever.
So high school, you're developing
Still
shooting
stuff with my friends like every high school.
So you're doing still and video.
Yeah, I'm doing video. I'm editing video. I used to go to Walmart and buy all this crazy like crappy editing software, and I'd like burn it and upload it on my computer and then go and return it because I was like a poor high schooler.
Like Pinnacle?
Was it like Pinnacle?
Yeah, like
Pinnacle
shitty,
systems?
like
Yeah,
really
dude.
old editing stuff, and I would like go and burn buy it, burn it, and take it back and get my money back. And,
That's
yeah,
dope.
yeah.
And then
I
edit
remember
and-
that game.
yeah, I used to do that all the time.
That's like Adam. That was like my brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a hustler, man.
Oh, he's a pirate.
What type of videos would you make?
Oh man, we would always have like an option in school to do like a video option, and I would always choose that and like edit them and stuff, but it would always end up me in trouble because it'd be like there'd be like a shot of one of my friends' asses in it or something. So
That's dope.
So high school, yeah. Who were you inspired by at that point when you were making like?
Oh man, I watched a lot of different types of TV and stuff like that. I like to edit. That's what I thought I was good at. That's what I originally went to school for. I loved editing, and then once I got to college, which I went to film school, I realized there's a lot more going on than editing, like lighting and camera, and that's what I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
That's the stuff.
What film school?
Full Sail. Sister school to LA Film School.
That's right.
Dope.
I remember like when I graduated LA Film School, Full Sail was coming out, and it was like, oh, they have a back lot.
It was cool. The
I should have
backlot's
went
really
to Full
cool.
Sail.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a quarter-mile backlot built by Universal, so it's epic. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's tight.
It's pricey, and they have a bunch of really nice sound stages and
They do.
Chapman cranes. And at the time, I was shooting all my projects on 35 on like the Arri studio cameras. Now they all shoot Alexa because nobody shoots film. But
Right.
I was learning on all the big
The
film,
35,
like
yeah.
learning how to load Panavision cameras, like lace the film through, which is unbelievable.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, that's when I went to film school. Those were the first cameras I saw. Like really, like where I was like, oh, that's what filmmaking is. It's
Yeah.
a big 35,
Big old bitch.
right on a dolly,
Yeah.
like with
Heavy.
you know,
Sounds real nice.
you got to put those.
Oh yeah, like
Barneys?
the dampening,
Like
like
Barneys
the
or
still
something?
photographers use on set, like when they used to have DSLRs.
Yeah,
like the
man.
dampening. They're huge dampening boxes. And
Yeah.
they're so weird looking.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And
So
that's
that-
where you became like,
That's where
you
I
wanted
got.
the camera in your
Yeah,
hand?
that's how I got into it. I was just like, that's what I still like to edit. I don't do it very often.
How long were you at Full Sail?
2 years.
It's a 2-year program.
It's a 2-year program. You get a bachelor's in 2 years. So you do essentially like summer school. You know when you do summer school and you do like a 6-month class in like a month? It's like that for 2 years straight. Basically, you do 2 classes a month for 2 years and you just get worked.
What are those classes? Like, give me an example of how that worked.
You do everything. There's like 3 months of just lighting. You're just working lighting. And then they had a soundstage built inside with like a city street. They called it Candyland. And there was like a fake movie theater outside, and there was like houses, and you can that's where you basically learn to light. And you would go to labs like overnight. Like your labs would be scheduled like midnight to 8 a.m.
Totally.
You spend 8 hours in there.
Yep.
Like you would go to school like 16 hours a day sometimes, and it wasn't all together. So you'd be like 4 hours on, 4 hours off, 4 hours on, 4 hours off.
Is Full Sail? Do you stay current with like their like curriculum and?
Not really.
Do you know if it's changed?
I know it's changed quite a bit. Like everything, they have new stuff. They're always improving and always buying new gear and stuff like that. And it's very expensive, but I believe it's you get what you get from it what you put into it. And I was just nonstop working, like laser focused, and
Yeah.
every kid I knew like that at Full Sail is doing well now. And same with LA Film. Like I didn't know Grant Smith went to LA Film School.
Right. Well, yeah, it is. It's basically like it's your own hustle that then sets you apart from everybody else.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to hustle in school, then you're willing to hustle in the industry.
Well, yeah.
And the industry isn't hard.
They teach you to network.
It is hard. It's not easy.
It's not easy, but it's amazing. You don't even have to be very good necessarily, as long as you have common sense and people like you. It's like when I'm hiring people, I think more like, oh, who do I want to spend 12 hours a day with 6 days a week, and not necessarily like, oh, who's the best, because it's like, you work 12-hour days, and you just want nice people to be around.
Dude, totally.
That's how I feel. Like I'll hire somebody that's maybe a little less skilled, but I love being around them, than somebody that's really good and not very pleasant to be around, because it's.
Yeah, you want good attitude and fixers though too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where it's like
somebody that likes to learn.
Yeah.
And when it gets crazy, they're not going crazy either. They're like, let's just fix the problem.
You just need somebody enjoyable to be, because you're around people. You're around people you work with more than your own family and stuff a lot of the time. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was your first job out of college?
Oh man, you know who the first person to ever hire me was? You guys know, Raul.
Oh really?
Oh,
he was
gaffer for Studio City Kings.
Raul's an incredible DP and gaffer, and he's so good at lighting and stuff. And
That's awesome, man.
He'll try and meet new people, and I don't even remember where I sent him a resume from, but I was clearly extremely new and out of college, and he gave me a chance and let me mess up a lot, and instead of just firing me, he just kept teaching me and introducing me to new people and helping me network. And yeah, I'd say he's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
my first job was an HGTV show.
Oh, really?
Like a home renovation show. I don't even think it was a pilot of some sort that didn't even go to air, and we were just like gutting a house in Silver Lake and like redoing the inside of it or something. And
were you camera op on that, or were you assistant
I was an
camera?
AC, yeah. I didn't PA for very long.
You were a PA first?
Not really. I mean, I PA'd in Arizona a little bit when I moved back from college, but that was like maybe 6 months. And then when I came out here, I just started immediately. It was like a reality TV AC, basically. I did like the show Top Shot and a bunch of other dumb stuff.
Yeah, that's like.
But that was my start. That's how I.
Now let's talk a little bit about the reality of it all, like the reality show, because that's so run and gun.
Yeah,
like being thrown into that type of an environment where you're like not quite sure what you're getting, but you have to just roll with it. How do you think that has helped your craft?
It's helped me a lot, especially doing like our kind of stuff, because I mean, you know, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. That's why you got to have cool people around you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because you're walking into a storm every time you go to work.
Yeah, no matter how much you plan for it, you know, a fire alarm goes off, and then the fire department shows up. And,
So you went from HGTV to.
Well, I was freelance, so I wasn't like working for HGTV, but I was just jumping from job to job, like networking my way into stuff, and I was living in a really horrible apartment, like trying to live cheap and all that and save money, and it worked. And I mean, I think I moved here in 2011, like right at the beginning, and
that's when you got like Hotel Hell and stuff. Like
yeah,
that?
I started doing Gordon Ramsay shows quite a bit. I did Kitchen Nightmares and Hotel Hell and Hell's Kitchen. I did AC for a long time, and then right around Hell's Kitchen I started camera operating.
So that's when you went up to cam op.
Yeah.
Okay,
and I did it fairly early. It's generally, between like 20 and 30, and I think I started full time when I was like 24.
Wow.
So I had a lot of really good directors of photography teaching me to shoot like reality style, basically.
For sure.
Which is kind of a tricky style to shoot. Like you said, it's run and gun, and it's like you don't not quite know what's going to happen. And
well, in reality, is strange because like the progression of like the technology of film pushes the way that reality is perceived.
Well, yeah.
Because now you watch something that is reality and it's obviously produced.
Oh, yeah.
Because guys like you can come in and grab the technology and do it quicker and faster and make it look good.
Yeah, we have a lot more tools. And it's changed just from the time I started. Like, we didn't even have GoPros barely when I started. Now it's just like, shit's crazy. Like, the drones and really nice cameras and crazy nice GoPros and stabilizers and...
For sure.
It's nuts.
Yeah, just the drone game itself.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. And
I mean, on a reality show, are you still taking into consideration, like, this is the shot I want to get?
Oh, yeah.
This is, like, I want to grab this shot. Maybe I'll make it look a little cool. Or,
yeah. And sometimes you have that luxury. Like, if it's, like, like, two people are coming in, sitting down and having lunch, you're like, okay, well, they'll sit here. And because basically the reality of the situation is, the producers will give them a couple talking points. Like, this is what we want you guys to chit-chat about. And generally that will lead to a real conversation if you just let them settle in and stuff. And I think that's what they're trying to get. So and then there's a lot of times where they'll come and you tell them, oh, you sit here. And then that way you can light it. That way you can get the shots you want. You can get a variety of cool shots and stuff. And
typically on one of those sets, how many cameras are you running?
2 to 3.
2 to 3?
But there are some shows where, you'll be covering 5 people single camera. And it's like, what are these 5 people doing? Are they standing there talking? Are they fighting? Are they eating? Who knows what they're doing?
So it's you could very easily have one camera operator per subject in the scene.
Yeah, you could. It depends on the show. Like, if you're shooting like some chaotic, like you're following somebody, it might just be one camera or whatever. But if you're say like, a show like Kardashians, you would, it would be a little more pre-planned. Like, oh, they're going to sit here and talk, and you can light it from here, and two cameras can cross cover, and then sometimes they'll throw a third camera in the middle as like a safety wide or something, and that's kind of the setup. And then some shows like challenge shows like Hell's Kitchen, like they'll have 2 shifts of camera operators, and each shift will have like 7 shooters.
Oh wow!
Right.
Depends on the show size, really.
For the Kardashians, is that house is already lit, pre-lit for shooting?
Some of them, yeah. Well, it depends. They don't really want things rigged in their house because you have to like rig lighting and stuff, and it's like a whole thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, when we shot in the Workaholics house, we ended up rigging it like a studio. But essentially, like, it's weird because like I was shooting that almost the same way as you're shooting the Kardashians. Yeah. Sometimes 3 cameras.
Yeah. Just getting the coverage
over and.
Yeah, you get two crossing singles and sometimes a wide.
But that was like improvisational off of a script.
Yeah, you guys had a script that was.
The Kardashians is improvisational.
This is all improvisational. Yeah, the producers will give them beats like, "Hey, let's have you guys chit chat about that," or they'll give them like little prompts and hope it'll lead to that. And sometimes you'll be sitting there for 2 hours filming them talk about nothing, hoping that it leads into real conversation. And it's like fishing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get what you want. Sometimes you don't get what you want. I think that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
Because the producers can only do so much.
Yeah. What was it like going on the road with Dog the Bounty Hunter?
Well, I did their new show. It was called Dog and Beth on the Hunt. And it was essentially like they would go around to other bounty hunters around the country and be like, who's the baddest dude you got? Like, you can't catch. And they would like give them the file, and they would let these people go after them. And it was really like the inmates running the asylum, let me tell you.
Yeah, so you're like, you're just following them and like,
yeah,
okay,
there's three.
Is there a time when you're getting in on the story where you're like, I think we should go over here?
Oh, you have the
lead. Yeah. If you see something, you say it. You're like, oh, he's running this way, or like you go and they call you for the show and they're just like, all right, well, go here for your fitting. You're like, fitting? And they're like, yeah, for your bulletproof vest.
Oh wow!
Like, oh shit!
They put you in a bulletproof vest on that show?
Absolutely.
What the hell?
Well, one of the cast members, they don't advertise this, but they can carry a firearm in some states, whereas Dog can't because he's a felon. Because he went to prison for murder.
What?
That's true.
Yeah, dude.
Damn, homie.
So yeah, you just go. I mean, and as far as reality show goes, I will tell you the truth on this one. That's real.
That's a real
chasing
show.
People. They really are chasing people. They really are tackling people. Like, it's for real scary because you're just like, these are not trained professionals. It doesn't seem like.
So the person who they're chasing has not given consent to be filmed.
No, but they'll try to get them to give consent. Sometimes not so nice.
Like a lighter sentence if you sign this or something?
No.
Like
intimidation.
Oh, that's they intimidate you to give consent for your likeness?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's...
I've seen people signing like the paperwork in handcuffs. They'll put the handcuffs in the front and be like, all right, sign this.
You just have to have a car with like the legal disclaimer printed on it.
You'll hear
it's like on the door.
You'll have,
so it's like you had the opportunity to see it right there.
If you hear somebody say blue skies, you would point your camera up.
Oh.
Away.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Blue skies. Dude,
skies.
You're like that sounds like you're part of like a tactical unit almost.
Yeah. It feels like it, but it's like a tactical unit, but it's all carnies.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, as much as Hollywood can do that, we're not.
You're like, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you're not being led by.
We would do
Alfonso Cuarón, man. You're being led by Dog.
We're not going with the SWAT team. It's Dog and the boys,
and they know he doesn't have a gun. So
one of them does, and they have some big old Samoan bodyguards that I wouldn't fight if their hands and feet were tied together. They would just beat you.
Did you guys have any bodyguards that were just to guard you guys? They have a
security guard for the camera crew that has a firearm. So there is.
There we go.
But we've kicked in doors to like hostage situations, like active ones, where like you're running in with them, or you're like clearing a house. Like it's like me and Leland clearing a house, and it's just like me and him kicking in doors. You're like, the fuck's on the other side of this door? Like who who am I following?
You kick doors.
I wouldn't kick doors. I would film Leland, his son, kicking doors, and you're just like, you don't
film and kick a
I
door.
don't know. He's saying
I'm not an
we're
action
kicking
star.
doors.
He's
You say
filming
we.
it.
I don't know. You get into it. I would.
We would jump fences, and there would be like dogs attacking us, and Leland would have to like stave off dogs, and I'm like freaking out, and he's like kicking in doors and like crawling under houses, and I'm like, I'm following this dude to hell. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
It's all in a day's work.
Yeah. That's.
What cameras were you running with that?
They were like little Sony PMW 100s or something. They're just like they're small because you have to be able to jump fences or like hide behind cars or
Yeah, you have
shit
to be
like
so
that.
mobile.
Yeah.
Was there a physical test they did before you got
No.
this job?
No.
Well, then they should have.
I could walk. They're like, "Can you run?" Like, yeah, I can run.
Like a boot camp.
Incredible,
They just
man.
put you in a bulletproof vest.
Zach, you're unreal.
Yeah.
Oh, I got lots of these.
Wait. What? So that, I mean, I guess that intensity leads us to Jay Leno's garage.
Oh, that's
How was
cool.
that? Was that cool?
I didn't do a ton on that show. I did the first season, like when they were kind of getting it going and stuff. But it was really cool, man. We did like some stuff with Ken Block and all kinds of stuff.
Ken Block, the Gincana dude?
Yeah, he did donuts around me,
Really?
and I had a Ronin. I'll show you the shot. It's really cool.
Is it Gincana or Gymkhana?
Jim? I think it's Jim Con.
I think it's Gymkhana.
But we did like a small segment for a Jay Leno show when we first started it, and it was really cool. We were like on a closed track, and he was doing some wild stuff.
That's tight. That
He's
guy
cool.
is great.
It's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Yeah, I was on that show for a short time. It's kind of like I did like 2 weeks or something. It was like kind of a day play, you know.
Yeah.
Day plays when you like work on a show for a couple days, filling in for somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep, that's how it is in the film industry. It's all got to hustle for the next job.
It's a little easier for camera operators because it's not like a producer can just be like, oh, I'm going to go work on this show for a few days, because a producer kind of
No, producer kind of, you got to be on
pre-pros
it.
the show and helps edit the show, whereas like a camera person, you can just pop in for a couple days and leave, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah, totally.
That's what I do with like Grant Smith. And
So that's when you, that's going into like the scripted world
yeah,
with Grant. Yeah.
yeah.
You cam op for Grant
I
every
have.
once in a while?
Yeah.
What's the difference, since we're talking about camera operating?
Yeah.
What's the difference do you see between the reality cam opping and then going into the single camera scripted?
I feel like
cam
it's
opping?
made me a lot better as a handheld camera operator, which is kind of a really popular thing in scripted, especially comedy these days. Like, I feel like I shoot really well handheld because reality's basically, 95% just running around with the camera and finding the shot. So in scripted, it's a little easier because you have, it's not always easier, but it's a little easier in the sense that you can block a shot and plan a shot and
Yeah, totally.
rehearse a shot. Whereas in reality, it's like, some moments you just can't get back. Like somebody's punching somebody in the face or something and you miss that. It's like, that's not happening again.
Yeah.
Yeah, in scripted, you're setting the shot to repeat it and make it
Yeah,
better every
yeah.
time.
It's easier in that sense, but I feel like there's a lot of pressure in scripted because there's a lot more people sitting there scrutinizing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're like around, high caliber talent, and they don't want to do it 3 times because you're messing up.
Right.
They want to do it once or maybe twice, and then
You mean like
move on.
if you like have to whip over and find
Yeah.
them at a certain specific comedic
Yeah.
beat, that can be a little bit more stressful than
Yeah.
when you're just trying to grab what the moment offers.
Yeah, because a lot of times in scripted, it's a camera move kind of could dictate the feel of a scene or something, and if you don't do it at the right time or at the right speed or whatever it is, it's going to be noticed by a lot of people watching a monitor.
And you could have more people working on a shot. You could have,
Mm-hmm.
on the same shot, you got your camera operator, your DP, your
Mm-hmm.
focus puller.
Yeah. Your actors doing it over and over. It's just like everybody's like, all right,
Actors
let's
and-
figure this out and do it
and
right. Yeah.
If you add a dolly or steady cam,
Yeah. Everybody's kind of waiting on you. And
yeah,
that's-
you got to be about your biz.
You got to keep it tight. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas in reality, it's a little, especially if there's more than one camera, you're like, oh, somebody got it or whatever. It's
Man, I laugh now, but I used to like be so abrasive when it came to like, why didn't you get that focus pull? Why didn't you do that?
yeah.
And then I'm like, what was I? I mean, come on.
It's tough.
You can't.
I think the first AC's job is the scariest job on set.
The first AC?
The first AC.
Yeah.
Oh, by far. Because that's
why they all smoke cigarettes.
Yeah, it's just stressful. I mean, that cameras are getting better, and it's becoming thinner and thinner when you're focusing on a big lens. And it's scary stuff, especially when it's a moving shot and you're trying to keep in focus on like a steady cam or something.
Well, now they got those monitors that you can focus from remote focus.
You remote focus, but it's not any less scary.
You're still pulling the wheel.
You're still pulling it.
You're not like right next to them, you know.
No, which makes it even like, oh, is that? Because if the signal goes out, you're like,
yeah, you got to find like a really good wireless setup because you want zero delay. Because if you have any delay, that could be a problem.
Yeah,
it's sketchy. It's scary.
Yeah,
it's more precision based in scripted, we'll say.
So when you're doing cam up, what are you jumping up into DP? When did you do that for the first time?
Just kind of slowly. I mean, it started as like, oh, you're doing this show and the DP needs a day off, and we don't want to hire a new DP because he doesn't know the show. So, can you do it for a few days?
Stepping up.
Yeah. So it's kind of a step up situation, and then it just kind of slowly builds, and you just become more and more comfortable. Because there were times where I would get offers to DP, and I would think about it and kind of look at it from all angles, and I'd be like, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. So
to like lead other camera people?
Yeah. Well, no, not lead other camera people, but if it was just something I felt like I was in over my head or it was going to do me more damage to go and mess it up, then I would be like, maybe this isn't the job for me. And kind of knowing what my limitations were or what I was good at, what I was not good at or whatever. So I've done that before, but I just kind of slowly worked into it and started doing, like side projects just for fun, like learning it, like doing stuff for free, learning it, and feeling more comfortable.
That's how we met, Zach.
Studio City Kings.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Zach introduced himself to you first.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, I'd met you briefly.
So you keep talking about this time that we've met, and I don't know what it is.
Well, there was a few times where I just kind of popped by and said hi to you guys because you were like outside.
Where,
after,
at Workaholics?
Yeah, like at the office, like
at the secret Target.
The secret Target
out in Deep Valley.
Yeah, there's a secret Target that was right across the street from the Workaholics office, and it was always empty.
Yeah, it was a great Target.
They had a great
I thought of it
selection.
like my store on my lot.
Yeah, it was
there
nice.
Was a Starbucks there, and it was like that was
Starbucks.
The canteen,
I'm sure if you needed crafty or any sort of like weird, quick outfit or clothes or sheets or something weird for the show, you could just.
Everything was all right there. It was actually perfect.
Yeah, that's what I thought every time I went there. I was like, man, it must be.
So what? You saw us filming or something?
I saw you like after. I think it was when you guys were writing one day or something.
Oh yeah.
You guys were just hanging out, and I was just like, oh man, I love this show. I'm gonna go.
We used to get some people cruising around there.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like because the gate would be open and.
Yeah,
I was just one of those. I wasn't one of those annoying people. Yeah.
No, not at all. It was like one of the. You were one of those people where it's like, dude, they know who we are.
Yeah, yeah, it was cool. I would always read your parking signs because it was always really funny names like.
Oh yeah.
Like I wanna jizz in you or just stuff like that. Like all your parking signs were really funny, so I would always go read those, and they'd be changed sometimes. So I'd be like, oh man, those guys.
Yeah, that's radical. And then you hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah, I do this thing like when I'm down between jobs and I'm just like, especially if I've done a miserable job, I'll just start like hitting up people that I respect or want to work with. I'll hit those people up first and be like, hey, I would love to do something, or I would just toss a bunch of lines in the water and hopefully work with somebody cool and not have to shoot something stupid.
Yeah, I kind of remember like you hitting me up and me being like, okay, I don't. Keep bothering me.
Yeah. Well, I sent you a resume, so you didn't think I was just some.
You sent me a resume, yeah, and it was like, okay, this guy has done some stuff.
Yeah, and you're like, I'll have something for you eventually. And then I think like 4 or 5 months had passed, and you had sent me the scripts for Studio City Kings, and you're like, this is what you should do for me.
Yeah, well, I remember you sent me like a union card too. You were like, hey, look, I'm a union guy now.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I was just letting people know, like, because I finally joined the union, and it's like you got to get it out there, like, hey, I can do union work.
And then TK and Ryan were trying to figure out something.
Yeah,
and
we were bothering him. We just didn't have
equally.
Instagram.
Yeah, equal. Well, they didn't have my phone number.
You guys are older. don't think you know.
Yeah.
And then you were there, and I was like, Thomas hit up Zach.
Yeah.
This dude's been bugging me about doing something.
Yeah.
And here we have this dramatic
Let's do it.
project that we're going to try, and might as well use somebody that we don't know.
Yeah, and I didn't know if anything was ever going to come of it, but then, lo and behold, the script came, and I went and met TK and Ryan.
We met at Birds next to UCB on Sunset.
The funny thing is, I told you guys this before, but I'd seen Mega Summer Hit before, and I'd never met TK or Ryan, so you guys did such a good job on that. I was like, how much of this is fake and how much of this is real? Like, what is TK like? So I was nervous going into this meeting. I was like...
Because you knew you were meeting with TK.
And Rai, who wore a mask the entire movie. And TK was just like a psycho yelling at everybody and like just being crazy and throwing drinks in Oliver's face and all kinds of funny stuff. And I'm like, oh man, how's this gonna go? Like,
that is so cool.
Yeah,
Like,
we got there, and when you guys told us your credits, because Ryan Hosking,
yes,
was talking about The Revenant. Yeah,
he was the aerial DP on it.
I mean, we're just making like YouTube videos. What are you?
Yeah, I mean, we came in ready. Like, we kind of had our plan. Like, hey, we're gonna bring these people on this equipment and do a good job at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys were ready. You were ready to make something.
Yeah, we were.
You had all the pieces, because essentially, like, you guys came in, you and Hosking came in and kind of legitimized what we were trying to do.
Yeah, it was we all kind of had our own puzzle pieces we put together. But we had been looking for something like that, like something that we could all do together, and
we ended up doing 2 seasons of it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, the first day at Oliver's house, when we Oliver Rayon from Studio City Kings, I wasn't ready for that, because you guys came with gear.
You looked ready in that bucket hat.
I did. I was ready for the picture. We'll put that on the Instagram. Just swipe right.
And he had his binder. It's like TK director.
Yeah. No, but you guys came with
look good.
Multiple cameras.
Yeah. Oh, we were ready.
Like 7 or 8 people to help you, not just behind the camera. Like, legit sound. I was like, I don't know.
Well, my favorite thing is to invite all my most talented, fun friends and kind of bring them all together and do something fun. That's what we did.
Yeah, man. I was just talking about that like yesterday, where it's like you can count on yourself to be there, but it's way more fun when you have more people involved. And I'm actually convinced the more people you have involved in each frame, the more energy
absolutely
is transferred through the screen.
Absolutely.
People can see that.
Well, we were doing crazy cool shots out of the back of Priuses, trying to get like cool tracking shots.
Yeah.
Remember that? Because the Prius was silent.
That's right, man.
We'd have to stop and charge it up for a little bit and then try the shot again.
That's great. Shooting out of the back of a Tesla would be perfect.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
It was like 100 degrees. I was under that giant comforter in the back of the Prius.
Oh my gosh.
It's fun. That shot looked good though.
It did.
It came out.
We shot a lot of that that was at the Workaholics office.
We shot a lot of that at the Workaholics office. We used the art department room for Koziak. We used, I think, the hallway when Kevin was in it. Yeah. We did a lot. The office worked perfect.
Gosh, that is so cool. Studio City Kings,
and
man.
then it was all a great practice exercise for all of us. I feel like we all learned a lot of don'ts.
Well, that's what happens with every production.
Yeah, you learn more don'ts than do's.
You're presented with more issues each time, and then you learn what to do with those new issues.
How to prep
each time.
Yeah. So season 2 was
way better.
Well, it was longer and we had less shoot days.
Yeah. Well, at the last shot of season 1, I figured out how to shoot season 2.
Yeah.
Because the last shot of season 1 was with Raul.
Right.
Because I remember
when Woody was dying.
When Woody was dying, Raul.
And we had the dolly. You were the dolly grip. Yeah. And I was on the door, or just like the.
No, we built it on like a skateboard or something. What was it?
I think what we settled on was like a refrigerator dolly, but with like a wood board on it.
Yeah. And the lights were changing too.
Yeah, it was just one of the green rooms for Workaholics.
It was Jillian's dressing room.
It was Jillian's dressing room. And we had put like a hospital bed that we got God knows where. I don't even know if it was a hospital bed. I think it was just something we threw a blanket over. And
yeah, there was enough stuff around that warehouse to make that work.
Well, coming back to Secret Target, we needed like the curtains for like the hospital room, and we just sent, I think, like Colleen over, and she She scored the sheets from Secret Target.
Yeah, it looked like a hospital print.
Boom.
Yeah.
Woody was dead.
And boom, Woody's dead.
Colleen was unit production manager for that one, right?
Yeah. She was Brendan.
She was my assistant.
I know, and Brendan was unit production manager of season 2.
Sometimes I like to take my assistants and throw them right in the fire.
They really were.
Yeah.
Brendan did a great job for season 2.
Yeah. We lit Brendan up.
Yeah, totally. That's great.
Yeah, season 2 was fun. We even had your cameo, and you guys argued a lot. That was fun.
Yeah.
I love watching a good TK Kyle argument. Feels good.
Yeah. We're going to get back into it. We're doing Mega Summer Hit 2. We shot the first shot yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we're starting to
all
think
iPhones.
about it, really. Hey, tell me about the Kardashians. Have you ever been in the room with Kanye West?
I have.
What's he like?
He's quiet.
Yeah?
He's very quiet. They're all very nice.
Very nice people.
Honestly. Towards the crew, I don't know. I don't know them personally or anything like that. It's like coming to their house and
You're working
shoot
with
and
them.
leave. What's that?
You're working with them.
Yeah.
They're nice when you're working.
Yeah. We're just, it's a professional relationship, basically. But I've never done it full time. I've always just filled in for people. I fill in for my buddy Vince, who DPs it and stuff. And they actually shoot 8mm B-roll on that show now.
Oh, really?
Shoot that celluloid.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's excellent.
It's a kind of a slow moving show because you're just constantly waiting on talent to show up.
Oh.
Or things change a lot, they'll have a whole second half of the day planned, and then all of a sudden that just goes away. They're just they don't feel like doing it.
Right.
So you never kind of know what you're getting when you do that, unless it's stuff they really need.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Their houses are beautiful. I'll say that. It's unbelievable. Kim's new house is nothing I've ever seen in my life. It's insane.
That's dope.
That's
so,
rad.
You got in a pretty bad car accident, right?
I did. That's a long story.
Let's hear the whole story.
I've only heard this story one time.
It's a real
and
tale.
It was right after it happened.
I was working on the show Yellowstone. I think they're doing a second season of. And I was working on the aerial team, and I was driving a truck back in Montana to meet Ryan Hosking, who is my shooting partner on a lot of wonk stuff, because he's an aerial DP, and I was meeting him at the main set to help them land and de-rig basically a camera stabilizer that was mounted on the helicopter that we were shooting with. So I was driving back in the middle of the night, and it was not middle of the night, it was 8 o'clock, and I hit a patch of ice in the middle of nowhere, and I looked down at my GPS, and when I looked up, seconds later, the truck was sideways in the road, sliding. So I was oh, fuck, here, I'm going to die. That was my first thought. And so I slid across the road to the other side because it was just a 2-lane road. And once I hit the dirt, the truck just started tumbling. It was a Chevy 350. Truck flipped 4 times. And instead of stopping in a normal spot, it landed upside down and broke through ice and landed in a river.
Oh my God,
and I was seatbelted in upside down in the water.
In freezing water.
Yeah, it was middle. It was 8 o'clock, so it was dark, and it was 20 degrees outside. And I was way out in the middle of nowhere because we were shooting way in the middle of Montana, and it was it's a year ago, 3 days from now.
Damn.
So it was cold, and I flipped, and I was seatbelted in upside down, completely submerged, and I took the seatbelt off, and I swam. I started to kind of feel, because I didn't really compute that the windows had all shattered out because I'd flipped a bunch of times. So I thought, I'm going to have to, try and kick a window out or something, but there wasn't a window left on the truck. So I just kind of felt my way out, and I kind of realized my hand was going out of a window because, the top of my hand scraped. So I was so I kind of just, came out, and then I popped out of the water, and I was, chest deep. But my adrenaline was pumping so hard that it took me 30 seconds to realize that I was in ice water. The river was frozen over, and the truck essentially broke through the ice and then fell into the water. So I climbed on top of the truck, and it started steaming really bad. So I'm oh fuck. So I better hop off this thing because the top of the truck was still kind of out of the water. So I kind of saw where the road was, across. So I jumped back into the river, and I swam to the edge. And then as I was getting out, I saw light floating in the water, and I picked it up, and it was my cell phone, and it was still working.
Wow.
Whoa.
It was really cracked, but it was still working. But unfortunately, I was 3 hours out in the wilderness, so my phone just said no service. And I was just in this huge mountain pass, like in the middle of nowhere, and my backpack was in the truck, so I had nothing. I was just in like layers of clothes, soaking wet. It was like 20 degrees outside, so my next step was trying to.
What do you do in the? So you keep the clothes on?
So my next step was to try to not die of hypothermia.
Yeah.
So I was trying to take the clothes off, but I had cut my fingers really bad, so I didn't realize my hands were as bloody as they were. But after I kind of calmed down, I realized my hands were like covered in blood, and I kept trying to untie my boots because they were just like, you know, like outdoor boots like that you would work in, and I just could not get them off because I was going to try and rip my clothes off because I had like thermals on and wool socks and all that, and it was just
a lot of layers of soaking wet, freezing cold clothes.
So I wrestled with that for a few minutes, and then I was like, well, my only hope is to just yell help, and hopefully it echoes through these mountains, and somebody hears me and finds me, or a car comes, but I hadn't seen a car in like maybe an hour. So I took my phone, I turned my flashlight on, and I started walking down the middle of the road just yelling help, and it was echoing really loud, and like 5 minutes went by, and then all of a sudden I heard a noise, and I thought it was the river running that I had crashed into, and then like 50 yards up the road I saw headlights coming out of like the woods and a truck, and I like waved my flashlight and the truck came pulling up, and luck would have it was two people hunting, and they were brothers, and they were retired highway patrolmen.
Wow.
So they jumped right out, and they were like,
Yeah.
what happened? And at this point I had been bleeding out of my hands, and I was like touching my face, making sure like my head wasn't gushing blood or anything, and so I just had blood all over me.
Right.
I looked like a nightmare. And then they kind of knew what to do, though. They just started stripping clothes off of me. And they were like, was anybody else in the truck? That was their first question. And they just kind of threw me in the truck and threw a blanket on me and cranked the heat. And they're like, we got to go. And even they didn't have service. So we drove for 30 minutes before they could even call an ambulance.
Wow.
And then met an ambulance, put me in it, drove me to the hospital, and hosed me off.
Yeah, at that point, are you freezing or you would become warm again?
I was feeling a little better, but I was still really cold. Like my feet were like frozen. But I got into the hospital, and they kind of fixed me up a little bit. I had breathed a lot of water into my nose, so like my nose was just draining like this gross, like gravelly water out of it, and I just like it was like the river I crashed into was like really fine dirt. It seemed like because I had it in my ears and in my nose, and I was like hacking it out because I didn't have time to hold my breath when I was underwater because I was flipping. And then once I got out, I kind of was able to breathe, but I just had a ton of water, I think, in my sinuses or something.
So like, what was the blood from on your fingers from trying to get out of the window?
Yeah, I think that's when I cut myself. But I had flipped so goddamn hard. When I was flipping, it was just like nothing I'd ever experienced. It was crazy. And then once I landed in the water, I was like, oh, I'm going to drown. And I took my seatbelt off and got out. But I think when I was reaching out, I might have cut my hand or something.
Wow, man.
That was my only injury. That was it. I wrecked at 8. I was out of the hospital by 1.
What kind of cell phone do you have?
It was an iPhone.
Boom.
Good job.
Yeah.
Boom.
All the cracks, though, in it was just full of blood.
Really?
It was unbelievable. Yeah. And I had to get a new one. And I told them my sob story at like Apple Store, and they're like, "Oh, that sucks, man. It'll be $300."
Oh, that turned into an anti-ad right
Yeah.
there.
Because they're basically like, look, I heard your story and we saved your life.
Yeah.
So
I was like, listen, I was in this horrible wreck. This is what happened. They're like, oh, man, that's too bad.
Thankfully, you had one of our phones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, you had the phone. That'll be $300.
Yeah.
Did you get to keep the phone?
No, they took it.
Oh, gosh.
It was
monsters.
fucked up. There was nothing I could do with that phone.
And what was up? You had like some cameras and stuff in the truck?
No, I was going to meet them to put a camera. Luckily, there wasn't.
Did you have your cameras in there?
I had a
your
bunch
stuff.
of my film cameras, my
Did you get
photography. A couple of them survived somehow. That a couple of them were like exploded.
Wow. But you got some of them back?
Yeah, and a bunch of my shit was strewn all over the road. So somebody went back and like picked up a bunch of stuff, and I got some stuff back, but most of it, I lost a bunch of really expensive like vintage cameras.
My God, man, that is incredible.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I was fine. I got a CT scan, though, no damage to my brain, nothing more than I already have.
Built to last, bro.
Yeah, right.
And that was it.
It might have actually fixed you a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
There was some real fucked up stuff before, and now it's like.
Oh man, so stoked.
But yeah, that's what happened. That was a year ago. Here I am,
Still working.
working on
What show was that on?
Yellowstone. It was that
Yellowstone,
Kevin
right.
Costner
Paramount
show.
Network.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah.
It's good to know what you're made of.
Right, right,
Some people never know,
Yeah.
or they die trying to find out.
right. Exactly,
So
dude. You made it out.
I hearken back to all my watching Bear Grylls. Yeah, that's me. I'm pretty boring.
No.
Let's cut it there.
Thanks for listening, and remember to like, subscribe, rate. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on Instagram @Wonk Incorporated. We got a lot of cool stuff coming out, guys.